Well, first up tonight, the Petroleum Commission will, in January next year, set up a technology transfer unit as it works to boost indigenous capacity in the upstream petroleum industry. An assessment by the Commission on its local content development showed there were various factors inhibiting technology transfer to indigenous Ghanaian companies and joint ventures. Now, speaking at this year's local content conference, Chief Executive Egbert Fable Jr. said the establishment of the unit will monitor compliance by international oil companies and ensure Ghana fully benefits from our oil find.
IOC should work in partnership with the Commission to refute the popular assertion on technology transfer that the development of the local technological capacity is not in the interest of multinational corporations. Fellow participants, I entreat indigenous Ghanaian companies and their joint venture partners to ensure that technology is transferred as we work together. Be mindful that for technology transfer to be successful, there should be willingness to transfer the technologies by the provider and the willingness to receive the technology by the receiver. Also, there must be a shared structure and agreement among the parties involved in the transfer of technologies. Finally, the receiving party must have the ability to receive technologies being transferred to it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Petroleum Commission on its part is strengthening existing modalities to champion and accelerate technology transfer in Ghana's upstream petroleum industry. I urge everyone to come on board as we forge on with the technology transfer agenda to build world-class companies and ultimately create and export future oil and gas technologies. The Commission will continue to implement strategies to enhance technologies and skill transfer in the upstream petroleum industries. Be assured that the Commission is working in partnership with industry to achieve government's vision for the industry. To walk the talk, the Commission will in January next year set up a technology transfer unit within the local content directorate to keep an eye on technology transfer in Ghana's upstream petroleum sector.
Well, meanwhile, government says it is poised to ensure Ghana attains full technical sufficiency in the oil and gas sector. Here's Deputy Minister of Energy Andrew Ejapa-Mensah, who read a speech on behalf of the Energy Minister at the local content conference.
Despite efforts from both the public and private sectors aimed at local content development and technology transfer in the petroleum upstream industry, there is still more to be done given the changing dynamics within the petroleum space globally. The energy transition is fast progressing, with various in the West in oil and gas projects. Despite this phenomenon, Ghana remains committed to fully exploiting its petroleum resources in an environmentally responsible manner to enable her fund her development. Consequently, Ghana globally for us to move away from dependence on fossil fuels. The extreme image of all foreign contractors withdrawing from Ghana and leaving the nation incapable of producing oil and gas on its own must forever drive Ghana to fully apply herself to technology transfer and local content development.
According to the Ghana Mine Workers Union, which attributes the menace to pursuit of supernormal profit strategies by some mining firms, according to the union, it has identified two loopholes that exist in the mining law, which grants exemptions to employers from paying redundancy or severance to workers engaged in contract.
The company from 2016. The same rule is replaced with a non-standard worker with relatively inferior employment conditions. Comrade Chair, without a doubt, this trend is fast undermining the decent work pillars and slipping our members into working poverty, growing at the current alarming proportions because of the regrettably favorable legal regime. Comrade Chair, two loopholes exist in Access 5.1 and Regulation 1833 that are immensely contributing to the precarious work, not only in the mines, but other industry, mostly in
Mensa Jakari, the situation is threatening indigents with permanent employment within the mining sector. Now, some economic think tanks and organizations have urged government to renegotiate mining contracts to favor the country as well as encourage Ghanaians to venture into mining business, though it's capital intensive. But speaking at the union's national exam, small-scale women in mining is calling on government to demarcate 20 to 30% of mining concessions for women. According to them, that will empower women in the value chain of artisanal small-scale mining. There's more in this report.
The association is entreating governments to support their training programs on the application of mercury, health and safety, among others. They called for financial support for their outreaches for women empowerment and emancipation. Here is the National Women's Coordinator of the association, Victoria Edubia Guerreri.
We have gathered here as artisanal, small-scale women in mining, as WIM, a women wing of Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. Considering the important part that women play in artisanal and small-scale mining sector, we are making the following proposal. 1. Allocation of at least 30% of economically viable land for women through individual concession or groups, cooperative. These lands should be geologically investigated to ascertain their viability prior to allocation. This could be implemented in pilot basis and upscaled. 2. Provision for support for ASWIM, that's artisanal and small-scale women in mining, outreach program for women empowerment and emancipation.
It has settled on a private company for collection of tax on financial transactions. We've got that story coming up after this break. Back to Business Live. My name is Darko. Great to be with you tonight. In other stories tonight, the Finance Ministry is denying reports that it has settled on a private company for the collection of tax on financial transactions. The ministry in a statement noted that the Ghana Revenue Authority is the mandated institution to handle the e-levy and nothing has changed. George Rafi has more.
The Finance Ministry in a statement noted that reports making rounds that a private company has been appointed and later the contract abrogated due to concerns are not true. The ministry added that the earmarked 241 million Ghana cedi service charge has always been the practice when it comes to tax collections. Government adds that it has always allocated about 3% of the revenue mobilized to the tax authorities. In this particular case, the Ghana Revenue Authority will be responsible for the e-levy collections as well as take the associated service charge. The ministry in the statement did provide evidence to back the claim that during the 2022 budget presentation, the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta did indeed state that the Ghana Revenue Authority will be responsible for managing this tax as well as the service charge. It added that for these taxes, the Ghana Revenue Authority is allowed to hold little fraction so that it can deal with the issues of refunds as well as act as a backup for the Ghana Revenue Authority in other circumstances. It maintained that it hasn't dropped the service charge for the e-levy collections as well as the tax itself going forward, and is committed to getting all parties on board to ensure that it gets the required revenue in growing the economy.
Women in Finance and Investment is calling for the implementation of more specific gender-inclusive initiatives in corporate Ghana. According to Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, LC Ado-Awaji, gender-inclusive policies are vital in breaking the glass ceiling in the corporate world for women. Here's more from the second Women in Finance and Investment Summit.
Women in Finance and Investment Summit, second edition, seeks to inspire the next generation for diversity and inclusive conversations and partnerships in the finance and investment management industry. This year's summit was focused on accelerating women's economic power and leveling the playing field. Keynote speaker, Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, LC Ado-Awaji, believes women can take up top positions when a conducive environment is created for them to thrive. Here is the Assistant Director for Payment Systems at the Bank of Ghana, Clarissa Kudowo, who read a speech on her behalf.
Gender-inclusive policies and their enforcement are important to achieving gender balance at all levels. However, more specific actions are needed to help women gain the experiences they need to elevate them to more strategic areas of businesses. Ensure top-level commitment. The top leadership commitment is critical in creating a sustainable and meaningful change towards increasing women's participation on board. Drive gender intelligence action. We have to be intentional in recruiting women to fill those positions, in hiring and then in pay and promotion. Successful gender diversity initiatives should include mentoring and sponsorship schemes which offer high potential women the opportunity to pair up with senior managers to receive advice, guidance, and visibility in order to accelerate their career growth, training programs to enhance the capacity of women and give them an equal chance to develop their careers.
Managing Director of Absa Bank Ghana, Abena Oseipoku, urged young women to be persistent in their careers and not to allow negative comments to dampen their spirits.
To address the youthfulness and to put together one, I started wearing these bad weaves. So I look older. So actually when I look at when I became CEO of Barclays, the picture was a very bad picture. Some old, very unflattering, grandmother-like wig. Because I didn't want anybody to say that, oh, the girl is so young and is going to be looking after Barclays. 3.5 years ago, when the role came, I had prepared. I had moved. So I think it's about knowing what you want and not giving up. You may not be ready today, doesn't mean you'll not be ready in a few years' time. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't achieve, whatever your ambition is, because it's possible.
Meanwhile, head of SME at UMB Bank, Charlotte Lily Bedu, advised women to invest in themselves so they can have a level playing field.
This is a right forum and a right atmosphere to help all the emerging leaders to be ambitious, to be courageous, not to think that they don't deserve it, and not to think that there are some positions are for men. A CEO is for a woman and for man. And the fact that when you go to school, they don't give a pink sheet to a woman to write and they don't give blue sheet for a man to write, I think that we should know that it's a level playing field, and nobody prevents you from applying to be an MD. Nobody will prevent you be interviewed. So I think that what we need is capacity. You need to retool, you need to scale up, learn, and try as much as possible to invest in yourself.
Also in the news tonight, Absa Bank Ghana has begun the process to establish an ultra-modern, customer-centered edifice to serve as a head office in Accra. In a keynote speech to launch the soil turning ceremony for the project, Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Elsie Ado-Awaji, charged the bank to continue with its sustainability goal to promote a safe banking environment. Here's more in this report.
Has been operating for more than 100 years in the country. It is one of the leading financial service providers supporting the economy. The idea to establish a new head office is backed by its consistent resolve to meet needs of customers in all sectors of the economy. Speaking on behalf of the Governor of the Central Bank, Second Deputy Governor Elsie Ado-Awaji, regulator the financial services sector in the country. She therefore charged banks to take advantage of the current business environment to grow their operations.
And we as your regulators remain committed to supporting your work for the benefit of the country. Indeed, it is our desire that the entire banking system continues to grow, continues to leverage all the opportunities available in today's business world, and continues to make groundbreaking impact for our nation. Thank you for also being mindful of sustainability considerations as you have designed your building, and we do hope that all of your other operations are tailored along the sustainable banking principles so that you reduce your carbon footprint in this country as well as help with the greening of our financial system.
Chief Operations Officer for Absa, Michael Mensah, told Joy Business that the building will serve as an innovation center for the bank.
We know that people have the feeling that people work from home and therefore there's no need for a head office. But we've come to realize that there's so the need to create a head office environment that promotes collaboration and innovation. So this is not a typical head office building that is almost like just having workstations. We are creating a head office environment that when colleagues come in, it's a serene environment that will promote innovation and collaboration to design products and services that would for our customers.
The project has been described as timely since the bank was one of the first to meet its minimum capital requirement before the deadline 2 years ago.
All right, and we conclude tonight with a look ahead to 2022. Ghana's economic outlook will remain negative until at least the first quarter of next year. This is the latest disclosure by ratings agency Fitch, dubbed Sub-Saharan African Sovereigns Start Recovery. Charles Nixon-Bois has been looking through.
In its latest report, Fitch said the balance of outlooks of some sovereign nations in Sub-Saharan Africa, including Ghana, remains negative. This reflects continued uncertainty about whether these countries will be able to stabilize and reduce their debt levels, as well as risk to external liquidity in an environment of tightening global financing conditions. The average debt of Sub-Saharan Africa is expected to hit 73% of total value of goods and services in an economy come next year. However, Ghana's debt has already reached 77.8% in relation to its economic size. Fitch further said the COVID-19 pandemic continues to affect revenue and expenditure in many countries as longer-term challenges persist. This includes weak public financial management and a heavy reliance on public investment-driven growth. As a result, debt sustainability remains a challenge for Ghana and a number of countries, given relatively low revenue and external inflows. Meanwhile, Benin, Côte d'Ivoire, and Gabon have since witnessed positive upgrades because of improvement in their economies.
And that's Business Live tonight. You can read more about that last story, brought you and others, on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Of course, there you also have one of our top stories for tonight. Government saying it has not contracted any private company to collect e-levy, says that the GRA will. My name is Darryl Carl. Thanks for watching, everyone. We are back same time tomorrow.